My fiancée announced, "I'm not signing the marriage license. I want the wedding but not the legal commitment." After 200 guests arrived, I said, "That's fraud." Then I canceled the ceremony, explained to everyone, and turned the reception into a dodged-a-bullet party. When the DJ played, "Thank you, next," I, 34 male, planned a $60,000 wedding, and the morning of the ceremony my fiancée told me she wasn't signing the marriage license. 200 guests were already on their way. Let me tell you how a wedding turned into the best party I've ever attended. I'm a project manager. My entire job is reading situations early, identifying problems before they blow up, and solving them cleanly. I am genuinely decent at this professionally. My personal life, apparently, had not gotten the memo. We'd been together 4 years, engaged for 14 months. The wedding was planned down to the last detail. 200 guests, a venue that cost more per hour than my first car, a 5-piece band, a DJ for the reception, a florist who treated centerpieces like engineering projects. My parents had contributed $15,000. Her parents had contributed $8,000. I had put in $22,000 for my own savings. All in, we were sitting at around $60,000 when you counted every vendor, every deposit, every non-refundable thing. The morning of the wedding, I woke up at 6 a.m. with that specific nervous energy that feels like excitement and dread sharing the same body. My groomsmen were already at the hotel. My best man had coffee waiting. Everything was on schedule. At 7:14 a.m., my fiancée texted me, "Can we talk before the ceremony?" Just us. No parents. I figured it was nerves, last-minute jitters. Maybe she wanted to say something meaningful before we walked down the aisle. I told her I'd meet her in the small garden behind the venue at 9 a.m., 2 hours before the ceremony. She was already there when I arrived, still in regular clothes, hair not done, holding a coffee cup with both hands. She wasn't in getting ready mode. She was in serious conversation mode. Something about that image should have told me everything. "I've been thinking," she said. "Okay," I said, "I want the wedding. I want the party, the dress, the photos, the whole day." She paused. "But I'm not signing the marriage license." I heard each word individually. I just couldn't assemble them into a sentence that made sense. "What?" "I love you. I want to be with you. But legal marriage, the license, the government involvement, I don't want that. I've been reading about it, and I think marriage as a legal institution is outdated. I don't want the state involved in our relationship." "You've been reading about it." "For the last few months, yeah. For the last few months." Don't repeat everything I say. I put my coffee down on a nearby ledge carefully, because I needed something to do with my hands. 200 people are arriving in 3 hours, I said. Our families have flown in from 6 different states. My parents gave us $15,000. The marriage license, which we already obtained, which we already paid for, is sitting with the officiant right now. And you're telling me this morning that you've decided, over the last few months, that you don't want to sign it. And you said nothing before today. She had clearly rehearsed this conversation, expecting a different reaction than the one she was getting. I knew you'd react like this. I'm calm. You're doing the quiet, angry thing. I am asking you a direct question. You want to have a wedding ceremony with all the guests, all the money, the whole event, but without actually getting legally married. Did I hear that correctly? It doesn't have to change anything between us. It changes one very specific thing. I said, whether or not we are actually getting married today. She shifted, and here's where her composure started cracking at the edges. I've already told some people, she said quietly. Told some people what? That we were doing a commitment ceremony, not a legal marriage. I told my sister and my 2 closest friends. They think it's actually kind of progressive. Something cold moved through my chest. You told your wedding party that this was a commitment ceremony. They support me. When did you tell them? A pause. About 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. She had made this decision 3 weeks ago. Told her inner circle 3 weeks ago. And had said nothing to me. Had continued final preparations with me. Had gone to the cake tasting, the rehearsal dinner walkthrough, the final vendor calls. had watched me finalize payments and sign contracts. For 3 weeks, she had known this and said nothing. "This is fraud," I said. She blinked. "Excuse me?" "My parents gave us money for a legal wedding." "Your parents gave us money for a legal wedding." 200 guests are traveling here right now, believing they are witnessing a legal marriage. The officiant is holding a marriage license, expecting to complete a legal ceremony. If we perform a wedding while knowingly withholding that no license will be signed, that is deceptive, at minimum, potentially legally actionable given the money involved. You're being dramatic. I'm identifying the actual situation we are in. She didn't crumble. That's what I wasn't prepared for. I expected that once I laid it out, the deception, the timeline, the word fraud, she would snap back to reality, apologize, say she'd panicked. Instead, she got strategic. "You are not going to cancel this wedding," she said, and her voice had completely changed. The soft, uncertain woman from 30 seconds ago was gone. "Do you understand what that would do to my parents? To our relationship with everyone here today? You would humiliate me in front of 200 people. You put us in this position," I said. "I'm just the one who found out about it. If you cancel this, I will tell everyone you got cold feet, that you panicked. I have 3 witnesses who know this was my idea. My sister and my friend will back me up however I need them to." There it was. The threat, delivered clean and fast, like she'd been saving it. "You'd lie to our guests." "I'd protect myself, which is what you're forcing me to do." I looked at her for a long moment. For years, I had spent 4 years with this person, bought a ring, planned a future, imagined a whole life. And I was watching someone I thought I knew run a calculated play on me like I was an obstacle to manage. "I need an hour," I said. "To do what?" "To think." I didn't go back to my groomsmen. I called my father. My dad is 67, retired, and has the ability to hear a situation in 30 seconds and hand you the one question you actually need to answer. I told him everything, standing behind the venue near the catering entrance. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Son, can you legally or morally stand at that altar and let people believe they're watching a marriage when you know they're not?" "No," I said. "Then you already know what you're doing." I called my best man next. He said, without hesitation, "Tell me what you need." Then I called the officiant. I explained the situation calmly and factually. He confirmed that proceeding with a ceremony while knowingly concealing that no license would be signed put him in a professionally and ethically compromised position. He wasn't willing to do it. By the time my fiancée found me again, 40 minutes later, now with her sister alongside her, I had made my calls and I had made my decision. "We're canceling the ceremony," I said. Her sister immediately started talking. "You need to think about what you're doing. She is willing to work through this. A commitment ceremony is still meaningful." "I'm not talking to you," I said. "I'm talking to her." My fiancé's expression had gone hard. "If you do this, we are done. Not just the wedding. Us. Everything. I understand. You're throwing away 4 years. You made decisions 3 weeks ago that did that. I'm just responding to what actually happened." She tried one more angle. The tears came. She said she loved me, that she was scared, that we could sign the license privately later with no pressure, that she just needed more time. "That's not how marriage works," I said, "and that's not something I'm agreeing to." What I found out over the following days was that her strategy went deeper than that morning conversation. Her sister had been coaching her for weeks. The actual plan, as I pieced it together, was to perform the ceremony, let everyone believe it was legal, establish the social reality of being a married couple, and use that pressure to ensure I never raised a legal issue, create the facts on the ground, then dare me to dismantle them in front of everyone we knew. The problem with that plan was me. My best man took the microphone while guests were still finding their seats. He's the kind of person who, when asked to do something hard in front of a crowd, straightens his jacket and walks directly toward it. "Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention, please?" 200 people settled into their chairs and went quiet. "Thank you all for being here. We know many of you have traveled to be with us today, and that means everything. Unfortunately, we're making a change to the program." He paused. There will not be a wedding ceremony today. The silence that followed was a specific silence of a large group of people receiving information that doesn't compute. Someone said, "What?" audibly from somewhere in the middle rows. My best man kept going. "The details are personal, and I'm going to respect that. What I can tell you is that this decision was not made lightly, and the groom is here and he's okay." He glanced at me briefly. "What I also want to say is that the reception venue is paid for, the food is paid for, the DJ is paid for, and the bar is very much paid for. So we'd like to invite everyone to stay, eat well, and celebrate the fact that honesty still means something." There was a beat, and then, improbably, someone started clapping. Then more. Not everyone. The room was confused, and her side was not clapping, but enough that the energy shifted from disaster into something else entirely. About 140 of the 200 guests stayed. The ones who left were mostly from her side, her immediate family, the friends who had apparently been briefed on the original plan, and were now managing their own embarrassment. I don't blame anyone who left. It was a strange situation, and people were processing it in real time. Her mother did not leave quietly. She found me near the entrance and was running at full volume before she was even close. "You have humiliated my daughter in front of everyone she knows," she said. "Your daughter told me this morning she wasn't signing the marriage license." I said, "She made that decision 3 weeks ago and said nothing to me or my family while I continued making payments. I didn't create this situation. She had concerns. You don't cancel a wedding over concerns. She didn't have concerns. She had a plan that involved deceiving 200 people and letting me fund it. Those are different things." Her mother's expression tightened into something sharp. "You will be hearing from our attorney about the money we contributed." "I look forward to it," I said. "I'll have documentation ready." She made that threat expecting me to fold. What she didn't know was that I had spent those 40 minutes before the cancellation doing more than just making phone calls. I had screenshots of the 7:14 a.m. text. I had documentation of when the marriage license was obtained. I had vendor contracts. Most importantly, I had my fiancée's own admission, made in front of her sister, that she had decided not to sign the license 3 weeks prior and had informed her wedding party, while allowing me to continue making payments. The attorney letter arrived 11 days later. It was aggressive. It demanded the return of their $8,000 contribution, plus damages for emotional distress and reputational harm caused by the public cancellation. I had already retained a family law attorney by then. His position was straightforward. The operative cause of the cancellation was my fiancée's unilateral, concealed decision not to sign the license, not my decision to cancel once I found out. Beyond that, the $8,000 had already been spent on deposits and vendor payments made before that morning's conversation. The money wasn't sitting in an account somewhere. It was in centerpieces, catering minimums, and a DJ who was, at that very moment, playing Thank You next to a room full of people who were starting to actually enjoy themselves. Her family's attorney sent 2 more letters. My attorney responded to both. After the third exchange, the claim was dropped. The legal exposure ran both directions, and her attorney apparently explained that to them in clear enough terms. The people who stayed that night, I won't forget them. My uncle, who had flown in from Oregon, found me near the bar and said, "I've been to 40 years of weddings. This is the first one I'll actually remember." My 5 college roommates formed a quiet wall of support around me for most of the evening that I hadn't asked for. My mother cried for about 20 minutes, somewhere private, then came out and danced with my father for the rest of the night. She told me later she wasn't going to let someone else's bad decisions ruin her evening. The DJ was professional in the truest sense. When I pulled him aside before the reception and explained what had happened, he nodded once and said, "I got you." Nobody requested, "Thank you," next. It just came on at some point in the evening, and when it did, the dance floor filled up. My best man, dancing badly and proudly, pointed at me from across the room. I laughed, actually laughed. The weeks after were quieter and harder. My fiancée reached out twice. The first message was about how I had chosen humiliation over love. The second was shorter and angrier, sent after her family's legal attempt collapsed. I didn't respond to either. My parents were, Made whole through a combination of the vendor refunds, we did manage to recover in a separate conversation I had with her parents before the attorney letters started flying, during which I laid out the documented timeline clearly and calmly. That conversation did not go warmly, but it resulted in a partial reimbursement that covered a significant portion of what my parents had contributed. I absorbed my own losses on the non-refundable deposits. It hurt financially, but it was clean. I started seeing a therapist about 3 weeks after everything. She asked me at one point what I would have had to ignore to see this coming earlier. The honest answer was that I would have had to pay attention to the moments my fiancé consistently prioritized how things appeared over how they actually were. There had been signs, small ones, the way she managed appearances versus reality in other areas of her life, the way conflict always got filtered through optics first. I had noticed those moments and not assembled them into anything. I'm more careful about assembling things now. My mother quietly took a centerpiece from one of the tables at the end of the night. She still has it on her kitchen windowsill. When I visited her last month, she pointed at it and said, "Reminder that expensive taste isn't the same as good judgment." She's not wrong.